This is the Board of Appeals public hearing. Today's May 19th, 2021. Before we start, I'm going to read the required text put out by the governor that hopefully is coming to an end very soon. Hopefully we can start meeting in person again for the next meeting. So in accordance with Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 23rd, 2020 revised guidance on order by the Governor prohibiting assemblage of more than 10 people. This meeting will be conducted via remote participation. In-person attendance by members of the public is prohibited, and all effort will be made to permit public attendance of this meeting in the manner specified below via remote access by internet, telephone, and if available via public broadcast of the meeting by Urban Media Arts on public access television channels. Public access will also be provided by posting draft minutes and or a transcript, recording, or record of the meeting on the City of Malden website at cityofmalden.org as soon as practicable after the meeting. Additional information and guidelines for the public can be found here, and there's a link on the agenda that was posted on the city's website. The Board of Appeal will hold a public hearing Wednesday, May 19th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time via remote hearing on the following named petitions. First, before we get to the petition, we need to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, we also.
You're on mute, Kathy.
Okay. We're going to roll call. Everyone in?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay. Kramer?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Thank you. Sherwin?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Hogan?
Yes.
Senator Locker?
Senator Locker here.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so first we are going to review and we'll approve the minutes from the last meeting. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes? And would somebody like to make a motion to approve them?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Sullivan, second by King to approve minutes. Kramer?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Sherwin?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Bilgan?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, minutes approved.
Okay, before, did we want to talk about, I believe we wanted to talk about some administrative procedures before we dealt with the first
Minutes
petition.
after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to go right in. This was tabled from April 21st, 2021. It's petition 21-004 by Mr. Pereira and Miss Bonaventura for a variance of MCC 1216-010, Chapter 12 of the revised ordinances of 2020 as amended by the City of Malden, namely dwelling, single-family dimensional controls, specifically side setback for deck, as per plans RES 033500-2020 at the property known as and numbered 7-9 Loomis Street, Malden, and also known by City Assessors Parcel ID number 160623323. The hearing will be hosted by the City of Malden on, is that a duplicate? I feel like that's I don't feel like we usually have that underneath the petitioner, but anyway.
It's just extra information for
Okay.
people to sign. That's fine.
Okay, so welcome back. I got some pictures today. I'm sure you want to go over what those are.
Yes.
So we can start with that. I'm gonna open that.
Do you want me to talk about what I'm proposing, or do you want me to talk about the pictures first and get into that later, or?
However you want to do it is fine with me.
Okay, I kind of just made some notes along with the pictures, and I just kind of had what we were asking for. Obviously, we were here to propose a new plan, which you received a revised copy of, to put the width back to the 6 feet and keep the length and stairs that were added on, since that doesn't affect the property line. And after speaking with the contractor, just because I didn't know that and I wanted to clarify, that 8.5, that ½ inch that they were referring to, that was after the post. It was the overhang, like the finished look that's not usable. So that's why I didn't even realize that that was there. But obviously before I was solely focusing on the porch, and after you heard from the abutter, obviously we didn't get to speak. I know the meeting ended. I wanted you to understand some of the challenges that we've been facing. So that's why I had included these pictures, so that you can see what has really impacted us on expense-wise. And we just wanted to get that out there because we're just really confused with all these other issues that we've faced, how these 2 feet are really affecting anyone at this point. But so the first picture that I had sent over, I took a picture of where the deck ends and where their shed is, which that's not in compliance with the property line either, because a shed is supposed to be 10 feet from the side, the rear, and the principal structure according to zoning compliance. So I wanted to show that in there because that's not in compliance either. You know, this is something I look out my kitchen window and see, and there's junk on each side of the shed that's there. And if this shed was to ever fall where they're higher up or become dismantled, not only is it going to go onto my property, if someone was ever over there, they could get hurt. So that shouldn't be there either. Number 2, the picture that goes with number 3, I think I labeled the picture, the numbers. So the other point I had that goes with the picture 3, as you can see, my white fence in that picture behind the pool, this pool is not in compliance with zoning. I called Melrose and they said that Malden is responsible for issuing the permit, because the address is in Malden and the pool is supposed to be 10 feet from the sides of the property line, the rear, and the foundation of the house, which doesn't apply there. But my property line also extends beyond that fence, which I was not able to utilize, because as you see in picture 4, my fence had to be built on top of the wall that they made that's holding up their structure, that they never had the exact property lines figured out before they did this. We paid to have the property lines staked out, which is another expense on our part. And I could not put my fence where I properly want it due to their property and to their pool there, which shouldn't be there because it's way too close to the fence. Their pool has already broke once, as you've seen in picture 3, it's broken right now as I took a picture of it. And if it breaks again, it's gonna wipe out my fence. And they're throwing chemicals back there and yard waste that we've paid to clean up when I had to put my fence in. And the neighbor to the right of me can contest to that because he's seen it. So that's what I wanted to explain that for. And then on picture number 2 with the deck, since last summer when our deck was being started last spring, he also started to redo his deck and there's no railings. They have company there all the time. They had company there last weekend, and with a building code requirement for a porch for safety, there's supposed to be railings there with people on the deck, and there's not. Also, for the last pictures that I included, numbers 5 and 6, I just wanted to show the area of how much of an inconvenience and expense this is going to be after we talk to the contractor. I mean, obviously, if it has to be done, it has to be done, but to change these footings under the dirt, there is all ledge under that dirt that had to be dug up. And if you see on picture 6, the last one, you can see in the end, towards the end of the deck, that their bulldozers are, once again, they're under my deck, so they're over the property line. And I had to move those, and you can see at the end of the deck that there's bulldozers there, that this is the reason that I'm also explaining that we really need to have this access to the backyard, because if I don't have this, I can't utilize that side because of all of this stuff in the way. I also feel that it's a safety and liability. I have a 2-family dwelling, and if one of my tenants go over there and get injured, or my son, I don't really feel that that's safe either. That was another reason that we built this access with the second stairs to go down to the back. So after explaining all those pictures, I just kind of feel that, you know, my 2 feet at the end of the day, I mean, obviously I'm here to propose the 6. I would really also like to ask to reconsider the original, but I understand if we have to go with the 6 foot. But I'm just not understanding how this is affecting someone so much when this is the rear of their house and my property is still over 20 feet from their house. And when the neighbor made a issue about noise, I'm also a little bit confused on that, because her porch is the exact same distance from my porch to my son's bedroom that's right on their side, and they have company constantly. And I also have a 3-year-old, which we're in bed at like 9 o'clock. So, you know, going over all this, we also would have never went this far without speaking to them. The husband was here, the wife was in Florida through this, and that's when she came home and was harassing us and the workers, and called to complain, because we would have never started this without speaking to someone. We're not those type of people. All these issues that I've brought up to you, I've brought up to them, and they basically told us too bad, they've been here for 30 years and things are the way they are. And I don't really feel that that's fair, because we own this property. And so at the end of the day, whether it's the 6 or the 8, I really do feel it's important for us to be able to keep the length in the stairs. If there was ever an emergency, I feel it gives us access to both sides of the house. And I really do not want people walking on those ledges or rocks under there either. And I mean, this is not what I wanted to focus on. This is why I solely focused on the porch last time, but I felt that I wanted you guys to understand our frustration and the unfairness, the issue that they're making over 2 feet, when it's really not affecting anyone in the long run. And I understand ours was not in compliance, but my landing was never in compliance to begin with on my second means of egress. And I'm just asking if you can at least consider one of these proposals, because I feel like we've endured a lot and spent a lot of money here to try to fix up the property, and we're kind of working with someone that doesn't want to work with us at all. So I'm just kind of asking for some consideration here, because I really don't think that all this is fair, what we're facing.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Can you not?
Oh, he's disappeared.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just a couple of things on your statements then. When I guess, should we wait for him to come back? Yes.
Yeah.
He's somewhere out there.
Probably just froze.
Well, here he comes.
Nate lost his connection. Yikes.
There we go.
There he is.
Sorry about that. I lost my connection.
That's okay.
We were all about ready to go home. Mr. Chairman, before you froze up there, I wanted to make a couple comments on the last statement that were made.
Okay, so I'm not sure what I missed. All of a sudden I
Nothing.
froze.
Oh, I don't
Actually,
know.
everyone else froze. I wasn't frozen, but everyone else just turned to stone on me, and then I lost my connection.
We waited for you.
I appreciate it.
Do you want me,
Okay.
do you want me to repeat anything or?
So how long was I gone? Maybe 30 seconds?
Yeah, we stopped then, pretty much.
Oh, okay. So, so when I disappeared, you
We were lost.
So, all right, go ahead with your comments, John.
Well, first, I think you got to understand that it's not 2 feet we're talking about. All right, I mean, the ordinance states that even what you had there originally was a violation currently,
Correct.
right? So just that little landing with the stairs wouldn't be allowed today, if I'm right. So it's not just the 2 feet, it's the entire thing. I mean, by right, the building department would have to allow you to put in that egress, which is just enough to open a door, stand out there, unlock the door, you know, that's it. So it has nothing to do with 2 feet or 8 feet or 6 feet or anything. It has to do just when that house was built is one thing, but now currently it doesn't conform. Right? So that's where we're coming from when we look at it. The other thing is whatever one of the neighbors has on their property, where it is and what has nothing to do with this case. Right? I mean, if they have some things that are currently violations, they won't be able to do that again. The same way as you ran into an issue repairing, at one point it was a repair for that landing. Now you're trying to expand that. So they'll run into the same issues. As long as it's still what it is and they're not going to the department to do any kind of permits for anything to do with their property, they're not going to have an issue right now. And I have no idea of whether they are or are not in violation of anything. Okay, so we want to stick just to this deck and not anything else around you off your property.
Well, yeah, I just had set this up because the neighbor had told you her side and I felt we never got to speak after the meeting ended.
Yeah, but her property has nothing to do with this property.
Right.
The only thing we look at is your property and what you're planning to do with it. You know, it has nothing to do with anyone else, just right here.
Also, it's good that you spoke to them, but they're not the ones that give you permission to do that.
Right. That was more, 'cause I really couldn't get through for those few weeks. And that's when I just tried to do the best thing possible.
So can I ask again, this is a month ago, what was the reason again that you didn't get an original permit? Why did this work start? Why did it start without getting any sort of approval from the city?
This was in that main prime time when everything was like literally shut down. And I work for a city and I was not in work and we were not pulling permits. We were not even physically in work. And when I kept calling, I also thought that this was the same thing here. This started in like March of April of last year when everything was really closed.
Why didn't you hold off until you were able to speak with the building department?
We were having other work in the yard done, right?
Yeah,
And we wanted to start that first because we were, the asphalt? Is that
yeah,
what it
the
was?
asphalt's-
That we were trying to get that stuff structured in so that we could put our fence up in the asphalt without ruining that stuff once it was there. Because they recommended that we start with this so that when they were doing other stuff, it wasn't ruining. It wasn't gonna ruin the finish of the work that was done.
And the thing was falling apart.
And
Wasn't
obviously,
structural.
structurally it
It was
was falling
rotted.
apart and it was rotted, and to keep repairing it, obviously we felt it was a huge safety liability.
No, the planks broke.
I mean, one of the planks were literally broken that you could like put your foot through.
They bouncing.
It was
Well, that-
molded.
Wasn't-
The
wasn't the
old
right
stairs
footings.
were all cement and cracked and wood, and like it really was unsafe. We had to do a lot of work on the out of this house, not the inside.
The building department was never shut down. Nelson, that's correct, right? You guys came in straight through. Is that right?
Yeah, we never stopped issuing permits because all of our permitting's done online. Applications, payment, issuance, the whole 9 yards. So our inspectors were in the office every single day.
We had a hard time getting reach of Ron all the
Yeah,
time.
I have emails from Ron saying sorry for the delay. We've been out of office. I have emails from him. We've been backed up. There was one email he didn't get back to me for 3 to 4 weeks, even in the process of this. I mean, I have those emails,
The website
even-
couldn't get through.
even when we were having trouble in the beginning.
Well, we've definitely been busy. We've issued
Yeah.
700 more permits than we did the year before, but
I mean, it's not like I
that
didn't
doesn't
try it.
justify not getting a building permit.
No, I understand that. I understand that. And we are sorry for that. Obviously, this is a first time experience for us and we definitely learned.
And you had a licensed contractor,
Yeah.
is that right?
Yep.
And the licensed contractors didn't say that this is a little strange that I can go up to half an inch of the lot line with a structure.
Oh, we asked him. He really didn't. I mean,
And the
trust me,
company
we
that
asked.
builds decks.
Yeah, and that's what they do. They primarily build decks. So we didn't. I don't know why he didn't say anything.
As part of the contract you had with him, was it his role to pull the permit or yours?
Well, he tried a few times. I think he called.
Normally he would have done it. That would have been him. But we were just also trying on our own just to see if we could get through.
But Malden's permits they're online. You go, the contractor can just log in, request a permit, send in plans. Is that right? I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
see,
do
I do-
that. But I mean, I've looked at,
I didn't
I
know
looked
that at first.
Yeah.
'Cause
If I can clarify that, Mr. Chairman, the permits are applied for online. If you applied for a permit today, you'd apply for it online. If you applied for it 2 years ago, you'd apply for it online. So there's no need to talk to anybody, get through to anybody, show up at City Hall. It's all done through our permitting system, through the city website, which was never shut down. So there could have certainly been a delay in issuing permits back at that time because we were basically the only industry that was worked without stop, I think, during the pandemic. But as far as applications go, they never stopped receiving them.
I apologize. I'm sorry if I asked this last time. What were the dimensions of the original landing that was there before?
It was a 6x6.
I believe it was 6 by 6.
Yeah, that's what was on the mortgage plan.
and I'm just wondering about, I went there and I took a look and I took a picture of under the deck. And I mean, there's rubble there. There's probably dirt from the putting in the footings that was pulled up. Is the part I could see there was pieces of not stone, but concrete, broken concrete. that was there. There was, for a good part of the way, say half that deck, it looked like it was just the loose dirt from construction, and it sloped slightly towards the back, but not precipitously. So I'm not sure why we need, you know, I mean, I'm unclear on the safety consequences here. I mean,
Well, it
the
looks,
wall you talk about looks more like that, you know, that your neighbors have, looks more like that was put in for construction and fill for their lot at one point. I don't know who built that house, but it looks like more like what a contractor might do when he's filling a lot to level it out. And you know, it's not a made wall. It's not laid in. It's not smooth. I mean, even the pictures you took, it shows that it's just a rubble wall.
right, he did that.
It would be, and a farmer would be ashamed to have it surrounding his fields in New England, but it's not, I don't see a lot of ledge right there. I mean, there may be some in places, but I mean, I'm kind of at a loss to see where there can't be a path made there without having to do a 32-foot raised deck and stairs going down.
Well, you're also seeing
Never cleaned up a lot.
it's
With
been
broken
cleaned
glass
up
bottles.
after they did the
But,
construction.
yeah, but we can't grant a variance because the lot needs to be cleaned up.
No, I know, I'm
Either.
saying that.
I mean, if
there
it's
is-
cleanable and it's you're able to fix the lot and make it safe, then that's what has to be done rather than getting a variance for a structure. It's gonna be, you know,
Well, that is all ledge over there, because that's the reason we don't have a basement. We're on ledge.
well, your house is, but that's probably why this thing was built up some. But I mean, a ledge is a giant piece of rock, and it's not.
Yeah, that's
unsafe
like
to walk.
all under there where they were drilling to put in the footings. It's not all exposed. It's,
Well, underneath, if it's dirt on top, then make a path. I mean, put 6 more inches of dirt down and make a path. Don't build a 32-foot deck that's encroaching on the setback areas. I mean, that's our issue, is that we have to look, is there another way around to kind of get things the way they should be? And the state regulations say you need an egress. That's true.
so I'm confused. If I put the original landing back down with the stairs, I'm confused how, when there's no space between the stairs and their rocks, how I'm supposed to get through the rocks and stairs to get to the other side without stairs on the other side there. Because that's another huge issue, because if you look at even pictures from when we bought the house, you cannot get through. We actually cleaned all that up.
Well, you've got a piece of lattice work that goes out on the front. I can't see under the deck. You've got the stairs going down, and you got lattice work beside it, and the lattice work goes along the ground. So I mean, and then I look at the back of your deck, which I could see, and there's no rocks, ledge, or anything there. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Rocks. Rocks can be moved. Ledge is a different story, you know.
All right, so when I take the rocks off and their property falls down, what happens here? Because when I have stairs that come up here to get to my second egress, I can't get through the stairs in the rocks on the right. I can't walk through there. That's the problem.
So the egress is to the street.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yes,
the stairs are in the front.
in the back, because I want to have that access to the other side of my house, and I can't do that unless I have stairs.
So the landing that was there was larger than what the.
Right, so the stairs like almost lined up straight against the rocks, and the tree stump that is we had to also cut even a tree down on our property to even be able to maneuver what we have now, because you couldn't walk over there at all.
Are
Yeah,
you
just-
talking between, you mean to get from that landing to the street?
Not to the street, to get to the other side of the house, you can't. If
So
the
the
stairs are there,
So
you
that
can't
second
get by.
egress needs to give you access to the street. That's why that was even allowed to be put up. And even that was bigger than it was supposed to be, but it's not for egress to your backyard. It's just to meet code to give you your second egress.
I mean, yeah, that was the only reason we did that. That wasn't any like malicious intent. It was just to us to be able to have access to both sides of the house, because there was no way to walk by that.
But I think to John's point is you're not asking for a set of stairs that's non-conforming. You're asking for a very large deck that's very close to the lot line. So I think it would be maybe a different conversation if you're just asking for access to your backyard. And as he said, you can build up on top of, rubble or rock with some dirt or a patio. Or I think even a deck that's 30 inches or less, I think off the ground doesn't need the same requirements as a deck as high as the one that you've built.
So my confusion is, I just have a question. If we originally had a 6x6, that means it was 6 feet wide to begin with. Why would the length or stairs affect anything if the width was already there to begin with?
Because it's,
So the purpose of that being there at all is for the second egress. You need a second egress out of your living quarters in case of emergency. So even if it wasn't conforming, that would be a hardship. That's the definition of a hardship. So, but a 32-foot deck is not, that's increasing the nonconformity, and doing, much more than just providing a second egress.
But isn't this why we were asking for the variance?
No, so you're here because you built the deck without a permit. And now you're asking for a variance.
Right, so that's why I was asking, obviously, if, this is not agreeable, if we could at least keep the length and stairs to not lose all this money that was spent, because at the end of the day, the width is still the same as it was to begin with. So I wouldn't see how that would be affecting anyone.
Nelson, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I can answer that. So what you had was a landing and a set of stairs, which were an existing non-conforming structure, because they were built whenever they were built and they violated the setbacks, but they were there, so you were allowed to have them. If you needed to fix them or replace them, fixing them is not an issue, but when you replace them, if you had pulled a permit, you've been provided permission to replace them as they are in the same dimensions. You wouldn't need any kind of variance because they're already there and you're just putting back what you had. So once it's gone, and the existing nonconformity goes away with it. So then you had nothing, and then you decide to put on something that was larger than that. So that's why you're seeking a variance, because you're essentially starting from scratch with something that was no longer there because you took it down. If you had got the permit and we had memorialized what was there, the dimensions of it, the location of the stairs, you would have the right to put that back in the dimensions it was in. You couldn't make it any bigger. You could make it smaller, but because you took it away, now that's why you're in the position you're in, to get a variance for putting something back. And I think that's the source of the questions that are coming from the board.
Nelson, while you're talking and unmuted, can you confirm if they were to, say, have a deck at 30 inches above grade that wouldn't require a permit?
Decks 30 inches or less do not require handrails. If a deck is 30 inches or less, but it does serve as a second means of egress, then it does have to comply with the building code for handrails and permits and all that kind of stuff. So, I think, Catherine, you're talking about a set of stairs going down to a deck or a patio that's at ground level? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, if the ground is really unsuitable and they want access, I'm just curious if part of that beyond what had been there was at 30 inches, if it didn't require handrails because it was kind of a step down from the egress, if that would need to comply with the setbacks.
Yeah, 30 inches or less, it does not need to comply with having handrails. Or guardrails would be a better way to put it, because you would have to have a set of stairs. But whether or not it has to comply with zoning goes back to whether or not it's attached to the building or not. And just to go back to what was said earlier, things like sheds and pools, those are accessory structures, so those don't comply to the same setbacks. Those don't have to be 10 feet from the side and 20 feet from the back. Those can be as close as 3 feet to the property line or 6 feet, depending on how big they are. So an unattached deck or patio, 30 inches or less, does not have to comply with zoning, building code, footings, anything like that.
So if they brought their stairs down off of their landing to a, basically a wooden pathway to their backyard that was at ground level, not attached to the house, they could do that.
They could.
Nelson, when you said 30 inches, do you mean 30 inches in height?
30 inches off ground level, yeah. Doesn't require guardrails or handrails. So you would still need a set of stairs,
And that would not require, that would still require them to be within 3 feet?
If it's 30 inches or less, it would not.
They can go right up to it?
And again, I'm answering these questions without seeing something in front of me, but
Right.
if you have a landing that goes to a set of stairs that goes to a landing, which is incorporated into the construction of the house and the stairs, then it's part of the stairs.
That's less than 30 inches in height.
That code is really more geared towards, let's say, a deck you build in your backyard that's 30 inches off the ground or less. You can put it anywhere you want. You don't need guardrails around it. You can build a deck in your backyard. So we're kind of mixing and matching two different styles of structure here. But it is possible that they could put something like that next to their house that wouldn't have to comply with the zoning rules.
Yeah, I bring it up for two reasons. One, I think with John's site visit and the pictures he shared, it kind of makes us all aware of a couple different things which might be fighting against the reasoning behind providing a variance for you. But also, if you don't want to spend a bunch of money modifying your deck, I was just curious if it could be lowered and then you can have stairs going down to a lower deck. And that way you don't have to move the footings if it's expensive or if there's ledge preventing the footings from moving around, but you could essentially cut the posts and bring down the structure. So it was just an idea I was throwing out there.
Can you do that?
Wait, disassemble everything, all the frame.
You could keep it the way it is, but it has to be less than. Is that what they're saying? I mean, at this point, I'm just trying to look for the best option that we can possibly do, because this is just really like a really huge expense to take a loss on. I mean, if we could consider anything at this point, it's better than nothing.
So, knowing what you know now, would you want, is this something that could be tabled again and we can come back with another set of plans, or do we have to?
Well, they could, if they wanted to, they could just, it sounds like from what Nelson said that there's something they can do. I mean, it's not going to be a raised deck up, 32 feet long. It's going to be, something down at ground level. So they'll have a landing up by their door, and I hopefully they can have stairs going forward and to the front and down in the back to a walkway that goes to their backyard. And they just have to kind of reposition the deck and maybe cut it down some, whatever it has to be, but lower it to the ground level, basically. And
Like way down.
I mean, it's something that might be doable. I mean, you can either, so that's the choices. You can either, like, I would think, is withdraw, talk with the building department again, not necessarily Nelson. I don't know who he has it, does it, but I mean, talk with them and come up with a plan that doesn't require a variance. And then you just go ahead with it, or else you're gonna have to come back with a different set of plans, but talk with Nelson before you come back about what you're doing. So your choice.
Yeah, unless we have to get him even coming.
If we vote, it's 2 years. You know, you can't, you won't be able to request a variance for 2 years.
So we explain to them what's going on here.
If that's something where you're telling us to talk to Nelson, if this is something that we could possibly do, because obviously it's better than losing all this money, especially the money we spent on the track and the wooden and everything. Is there any way that like someone can maybe come here and help guide us to make sure that we're going to be doing this correctly, or give us some suggestions? Because I do not want to keep
Physical see it.
like physically see it and maybe show us what we can actually do or what we could come up with.
So Chairman, can I jump in for a moment?
Yep.
So I'd be happy to do that. Come out to your house with the plan and go over it with you and see what, you know, what you can figure out. To Mr. King's point, they're gonna need a variance no matter what. Because, you know, no matter what ends up at that door for a landing and set of stairs, it's gonna be in the setbacks for it to be a landing and not in the set, you know, you're gonna have to give them a variance for that. So what I would recommend to the board is that you table it again. And then between now and next month, I go out there and meet with the homeowners, see what we can figure out. And then put that design in front of the board and then let you grant a variance if you so wish for, you know, what that landing and stairs eventually ends up looking like. Yeah, so that's my recommendation to you, if you would like to go that direction with it.
I mean, yeah, I would just like to do something, because not only for the labor, I mean, the parts and materials have costed us, just the parts alone, anywhere from 10 to 15,000. And if I can try to reconstruct them any way or how, or if we have to lower a part of it and make stairs go down to that, I mean, it's better than nothing at this point, because I don't want to just throw everything away. I mean, that's a lot of money that we saved up to work for.
Yeah. So you're requesting that we table it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we allow the petitioners to table it and discuss it with the building department on what might be a better plan that requires less of a variance, and have them come back.
Before you do that, we have someone with a hand raised. Are you going to recognize them, Mr. Chairman?
I don't see that.
Okay, we have Ms. James, who has the hand raised. Do you want to allow her to speak? Or are you opening it to public?
I don't
Or
think
if
we
it's-
should, because we're tabling it and it sounds like it's whatever is being presented tonight is going to most likely change. So I think that, you know, the next meeting when we have a new idea.
Actually, if you don't mind, I would actually like to hear what they're saying before
Okay.
we make a decision.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so Ms. James is using an older version of Zoom. I'm gonna have to promote her to panelist in order for her to talk, so I'm gonna do that. There she is. Could you unmute yourself, please?
Hi.
Hi.
Just a couple of things regarding what Sheena had said. Regarding the shed that's on our property, they had called the building department already, and Ron came out and measured, and it is within code. So I know that's just a side point, but I just wanted to make that point. As far as what the existing structure that was there, they keep saying it was 6 feet wide. It wasn't 6 feet wide. It was probably about 3.5 feet wide by about 6 feet long. I have a picture of what was there. I don't know if you can see that.
I don't see
No.
measurements. I can't. Yeah.
It was just a stairway up the side of the house to a small landing, which was the width of the stairway was about 3.5 feet, and the landing might have been 5 or 6 feet. It was not a 6 by 6 landing that was there. So that's what was there prior to them taking it down. And that's all I wanted to say was like, that was what was there. It wasn't, you know, a 6 by 6 landing that was there.
Okay. Was that everything you wanted to
Well, you don't want me to go into any of the other stuff like about the pool on our property and stuff like that. That's nothing to do with any of this.
Right.
So the main thing is they keep saying it was 6 feet wide. It wasn't 6 feet wide. It was about 3.5 feet wide.
Okay. How did we get, I think we got the 6 foot off of the assessor's record card.
It was
Yeah.
because the stairs were 4 feet wide alone. We kept the stairs the same width. So how could we have the landing smaller than the stairs?
The landing was the width of the stairs.
No, it actually came out to the right of the stairs.
So we won't, so we're just, I think it's a good idea to just stick with what the assessor's record card says, because somebody was physically out there and measured it.
Right.
I have no idea how old it was or when it was measured, but I think that is really the only document that we have that has any sort of measurement on it that we can go by.
Right.
that-
That's what we went by as well.
So, okay. All right. But thank you, Ms. James. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
No, that's all.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so did anybody want to make a motion?
John, did you want to put
well,
your motion back in?
Yes. Do you have it written down or do I say it again? I'd just
A
like to
motion
move
to
it.
table, correct?
Yes,
To our June meeting, which is June 16th? Yes?
yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, let's go on motion to table to our next meeting on June 16th. Kramer,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Sherwin,
No,
King,
Yes,
Bilgan.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, 4 yay, 1 nay. We will table until June 16th.
can I just make I guess, a follow-up motion or request? Can we ask if the plans be filed in advance if there are any? The same thing before that they get filed. I think the meeting's on the 16th. Could they be filed a week before with the city?
Yes, the last one were as well. I sent them in whatever date they gave me. I had to send that in by that, which was the 12th, I think it was.
I believe, yes, I think the plans that Kathy sent today was the second time she sent them.
I did. I sent it so everyone would have it at the top of their stuff, so they didn't have to go back and look for it.
I'm saying though, if there's a new plan, if there's anything else that you come up
Okay.
with.
One moment, let's see, a new plan by no later than June 9th, which is the week before, or do you want more?
That's fine with me, if it's okay with everyone.
Mr. Chairman, could I say something?
Sure can.
Kathy, do you have email address for the homeowners?
Yes,
Okay, so you can get us in touch?
yes.
Okay, so Kathy will get us in touch with each other and we'll schedule something for me to get out there.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask if she could give me your information, but that's perfect.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay. So that was the only petition for tonight. We only have one other thing to discuss, and I believe we were going to go into executive session for that. Is that what we talked about?
Yeah.
So at this point,
Motion to, who's going, someone
Motion
make
to
a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I can't make the motion.
Okay, so John made the motion to adjourn. Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn at 7:18. Kramer,
Yes.
Sullivan? He's on mute. Bill?
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. Okay, Sherwin,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Bilgan.
Yes.
Thank you. So motion to adjourn. Okay, next meeting will be June 16th, and will we be having it, just so that we can let the petitioners know now? Are you planning to have it by Zoom or by meeting at City Hall?
I would love to have it in City Hall. I don't know how everyone else feels, but I mean, I can't bring champagne or anything, but that would be awesome to have it in person. I've never even met you guys in person. Well, Bill I've met and Nelson I've met, but I haven't met, and Kathy I've met. So I guess I've met a couple of you. I haven't met anybody really in person yet. So if it's okay with everybody else, I would love to have it in City Hall.
Problem with me.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, so I'll send everybody out information about City Hall, and it will be on the agenda.
Where it is, in
Section.
case you forgot.
okay.
215 Pleasant Street, Malden City
We've
Hall.
never done it in a new building, so we might need to know a little bit more information.
There's a, would we do it in the conference room or probably
In Chambers.
okay, so City Council.
Council
So when you walk in
chambers.
the front door, it's to the right.
And I'll send everybody that information also. That will be on the agenda.
Okay.
Awesome. But I wanted everyone, whoever was listening, to know before we conclude where that would be.
Pants are required, I take it.
Hmm?
Pants are required, I take it.
Yes, please.
A tall desk.
Yeah.
All right. See you then. All right.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.